Okay, October 28th, Friday. Hi, welcome back. We're going to continue. Hope you're looking forward to it. So, Luke is already gone by the time I rise. There isn't a single hide nor hair of him to be found, and trying to call him on his mobile is a bust, and it only goes straight to his voicemail. That's twice in a row he's gone on me. And for him to disappear today, of all days, is every bit upsetting because of what's to come. The morning is once again filled with a whirlwind of activity. Sorry, still early here too. Everyone is sleeping, so I thought, let's have a reading, shall we? Unfortunately, I am much more refreshed as I took a break from my responsibilities. I haven't the faintest clue where Luke was yesterday. Today is going to be a busy day, although unlike Wednesday, the master of the house isn't here right now, absent once again from his duties. Hopefully he'll be back in time for the party. This is our house after all. A grand housewarming party for the wonderful Wright Mansion. Every person of importance from Luxbourne is invited. There will be a few guests flying in as well. Of course, there will be some people from the media, along with friends and acquaintances who are made no less important, regardless of the status in society. Marianne and I discussed business and last-minute touches to the house before finalizing everything. Not that there is much change from our original plans, but any huge addition to the property itself, the mansion is nearly 100% complete.
You have certainly exceeded expectations, Marianne. Everything looks so marvelous, and in such a short time, too.
Well, I can't take all of the credit. People have certainly been enthusiastic about the idea of working on the Wright mansion. There won't be any more problems unless Mr. Wright has any more objections about the second bedroom.
Luke and I had a small tiff about making the second bedroom into a child's playroom, which I insisted is completely practical. In the end, he had to risk it. I didn't give him any choice in the matter. I even bought this wonderful wooden crib at the antique store yesterday, including some toys. Just in case anyone brings their baby, of course. Besides, we have little need for actual guest rooms. We hardly have guests who spend the night. If we absolutely have to, we often choose to foot the bill for their visit on one of our hotels instead. Or is it Luke's own insistence? And on the off chance that we actually let someone stay, the bedroom in the opposite wing is still up to the task.
Oh, no. We proceed with that room as planned. I already agreed to him having his greenhouse and his vineyard and his stables. He may as well let me have this one thing.
No, I did not agree to him having a helipad.
All right, then. Well, do we have any other concerns? Anything we need to put on our agenda before the party commences?
No, I don't think so. Not unless Luke has anything else to say.
Is he around then? It'd be best if we can note down his request right away, considering the scope of his usual ones.
Around? No. Where is he? Who knows where? I don't.
No, he's not around.
She didn't have to point out the obvious now, did she? After 7 long years, I'd already gotten used to him. I should be by now. Still not, apparently.
But don't you have a party?
I want nothing more than to complain, to whinge about how unfair this is. However, airing out one's dirty laundry is simply taboo among high society. To do so will make you a ripe target for the next dinner party chit-chat. Vultures, a lot of them, really. Or most of them at least. There are always good ones like Rochelle Lee. But put your trust in one person and you'll find yourself eagerly picked apart.
Yes. But Luke's just being a sweetie, you see. That friend he's visiting, he's having marital problems and he's just trying to cheer him up.
Perhaps I am being a bit too rash, a bit too hot-headed in divulging details. But I thought myself clever with the plan to dress it up as gossip. Marianne raised a brow, made me unsure whether she is interested or not. Although that does make things better, as she has no interest and, therefore, has no hidden intent to utilize whatever I might say to her.
They've been married for a long time and they've hit how do they say it? A rough patch. His wife has a drinking problem and can be very neglectful. The poor thing really does his best to be a good husband. But it's never enough for her. Sometimes I think it's the years. Maybe it's been so long that they've lost that romantic spark. What do you think?
You were asking for my personal opinion on the matter, ma'am? Do you want me to be honest, or...
Do I want you to be honest with me? Yes.
Be honest with me, Marianne. I don't need someone to sugarcoat it. I'm not some fragile thing that I'm just going to break down at the slightest thing.
She hesitates, taking a sip of her coffee while staring into my own cup of tea. The silence stretches on, and I almost believe that she will never answer my question. I suppose that I shouldn't blame her, putting her in a tight spot like this. Her hesitation is understandable, though I loathe to admit it. She simply wants this whole thing to stay professional. But then she speaks.
If I'm going to be completely honest, I need to ask. This is about you and Mr. Wright, isn't it?
She got it. It's my turn to hesitate now. I really didn't expect such a straightforward question. And to get to the heart of the matter. I suppose I'm not as clever as I'd like to think. Or is it really that bad that an outsider can see our little marital troubles? Surely we aren't that obvious, are we? We've put up to act with a perfect couple for years, although it hadn't always been an act. Marianne is just more keen than the average person, of course. It is a necessity to her career, and she's been working so closely with us. Yes, that's it.
Suppose it is. What would you tell me?
Then, I tell you it's none of my business. I tell you that I don't want to meddle. But, if the troubled husband with the neglectful wife asked me for my honest opinion, I'd say that he shouldn't base his happiness and his self-worth on someone else.
So true. The person you're with should amplify your happiness.
Someone who won't even give him the time of the day. Maybe he should try being independent for a while. See what it's like when he isn't trying to please someone else and doing things for himself. Everyone's supposed to be their own man or woman, right? A bit of breathing room never hurt anyone. That's just my 2 pence worth, of course.
So you're saying they should divorce?
Nothing as drastic as that. If they're afraid that it might lead to just that, then maybe that is what's meant to happen in the first place. We shouldn't let our fear control our lives. But it's just a short hiatus is all. Or, couples therapy? Look, I'm really not the best person to ask about relationships. So grain of salt and all that.
She trails off, having said her piece, and leaves nothing but the smell of coffee and Earl Grey between us. There's a calm despite the nature of what has just been discussed. To say that her words make me start to think is an understatement. To say that I'm not considering her advice is a lie. And to say that this might just be the calm before the storm is a possibility. Others have had shorter marriages, yes, but plenty have celebrated long and happy ones as well. My own parents celebrated their choral anniversary before they passed away. But 7 years? 7 years is a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. It isn't a whole lot of time to see what and where our relationship can bring us. And at the same time, 7 years. Well, it hasn't been entirely made up of unhappy years, has it? It won't last forever. It's not supposed to anyway. I just dread the thought that it might last for a very long time. I dread the thought that these small spats, these little disagreements will turn into an all-out resentment. The idea that we will grow to hate each other with every fibre of our being scares me. I can even pinpoint the exact moment when our blissful union turned sour. We can get through this, right? Now that I still love him, and I feel that there is still a part of him that loves me in return. We just need to get our heads together and talk it out. Surely he will see some sense. There's a cough before Marianne clears her throat. I must have been quiet for so long, and I move to apologize when she stands up. We both end up on our feet, unsure on how to proceed. Some sort of awkward shuffle occurs as we decide whether to sit back down or not.
I really should handle what's left of the work.
You won't be attending the party? Oh, you really must, Marianne.
I'll try to stay and chat. Maybe grab a few bites and a drink, but I can't be around for the entirety of the event. My apologies. Busy, busy, busy.
You must stay a while. I'd love for you to meet some of my friends, and they're ever so excited to meet you. You need to say hello to the Lees, at least. If it wasn't for them, I'd never even heard of you.
We'll see. So, if I can be excused?
Certainly. You'll have to excuse me as well. I must attend to the party before any early birds arrive. Because, believe me, they will throw a fuss if things aren't ready, even when they're not supposed to be here until an hour later.
Are they showing up that early then? The scene outside the bar is a great organized mess. Aside from our own household help, we hired the service of the temp agency which provides staff for Wright Enterprise in the hospitality sector. Even our very skilled staff cannot undertake a party of this size on their own. Waiters, busboys, hostesses and the staff captains move about in droves, carrying crockery and serviceware good for several dozen people and then some. Chefs and bartenders tail after Johannes, looking like scared little children as he escorts them through the kitchen and into the wine cellar. The barriers to stock, to select what can be served at the party and what can be used for cooking.
Schnell! We have a lot to do, and I believe we did not hire snails.
I think Johannes is just as bad as Luke in that regard.
Snails are for the dishes.
A string quartet readies up to play for the evening, tuning their instruments as they fill the air with idle chatter. Floral decor, word thousand fill vases, wreaths and baskets, while petals are scattered along the driveway up front. And oh, that's beautiful. An ice sculpture of a reindeer is brought in carefully by a pair. It's followed by a simple cake. Just a 5-tier white chiffon one with white chocolate mousse, fresh berries, and a light dusting of edible gold leaf. But despite the fact that I told Marianne how I will attend to all of this, I find myself unable to focus or care for any of it. As a lot of discussion running into my head. Looking at all of this, I only see Luke everywhere. There are all the grand things that Luke wants to have at the party. I want a small, elegant and simple gathering, with only a selected few invited, namely the people who I would actually trust to enter my home. I did not want any bloody politicians or paparazzi in here, no matter how used I am to gathering them.
At least be here for your party. Damn it, Luke.
The entire thing screamed Luke Wright. And I can't help but add another question to my growing list of queries. When did I lose myself? It's always about him nowadays, isn't it? What about Hannah Wright? What about Hannah Evans? I used to be my own woman, who made her own name, her own career, and her own decisions. Sure, I was already the social butterfly that I still am today, but it wasn't all empty shallow gossip and sitting pretty. I was also lauded for my knowledge and talent. Finance manager wasn't just handed to me, just because my father owned a company. No. I had insisted I started at the bottom, so I could work my way to the top and prove myself. And I did. I worked numbers, managed budgets, money and accounts, analyzing the competition and market trends. There was a calculation in financial risk, cost reduction cost reduction opportunities, auditor relation, and public relations, supervision and staff, and well, I generally had a huge slew of responsibilities. Admittedly, I was already quite the attention seeker even back then, having dedicated most of my youth craving for my parents' approval. Failing that, I turned to others, looked for praise from anyone who would give it, however fleeting it all was. And Luke, And Luke, the way he looked at me, the way he watched me and took a genuine interest. He had me disgustingly obsessed since day one, hasn't he? He saw me for me, Hannah Evans, with both my faults and my achievements. The man didn't treat me like some damsel in distress or some prizeable one. I remember the nights before we were married, where we talked about everything and anything, from big things like business, society and philosophy, to little things such as that what we had for breakfast, or whether we like cats or dogs more. We both prefer dogs. Nowadays, I'm just Luke Wright's wife. It's mostly my fault, isn't it? They told me that the husband preferred wives who are docile and subordinate. A woman who'll always be there for him, yet will never outshine him in all aspects except beauty. That's not right, too. A wife needs to be at home and attend to his needs, to have children and to take care of them in his absence. They said I have no business working anymore after I was married. I can blame society, but I listened. Before I can fall further into this introspective bit of self-loathing, someone calls for my attention.
The guests have arrived, madam.
And Luke?
Running a bit late, I'm afraid.
Late for his own party. That man, I swear. He's probably looking to make a dramatic entrance, knowing him. Open the doors, then. We mustn't tarry.
Cars line up the driveway, peppering the front of the mansion with vehicles of every kind. Grand tourers, supercars, even the odd high-end muscle cars or two. Convertibles, grand saloons and other luxury cars can be seen being parked by valets. A handful of cabs drive off, possibly for those who thought it's too troublesome to bring their own cars, or they want to have the occasional drink and not driving. That is very reasonable and good thought about. There are at least 2 different media events as well. They are all here for what may be considered the biggest event of the year for Luxbourne so far. Who knows what we'll plan for the winter holidays?
Welcome, welcome everyone. Please make yourselves at home.
Some of the guests idle, enjoying the warm of not strange sunshine we are experiencing before gloomy skies inevitably return. To greet acquaintances and friends with warm smiles, others less so. From where I stand, I can see the hierarchy of power, the ties that bind these individuals here, whether through convenience or necessity. However, there are also few who are not here to further cement their current place in high society. Such as a young man with his oriental air, ignorant of the looks he receives from women and men alike.
Be careful with Shirley, alright?
Shirley. Or that rose-haired woman talking on her phone, when she looks unsure of why she is here exactly.
Yes, I'm at the party already, Mom. Yes, I'll say hi to her if I can.
I see Zachary, the photographer, as well. He talks to a few of the other media crew with an air of familiarity.
I was just here a few days ago, yeah. And the inside is huge, but the staff are pretty helpful if you get lost.
I had invited Father Norman too. It's the least I can do after he blessed the mansion on my request, aside from my small donation to the church, of course. But the poor man had taken ill and went through a nervous breakdown of some sort the other day. And then there are people like the Chief Inspector. People who I can never be too sure about. People who stand on the border between being suspicious and being trustworthy.
Thank you for the invite, Anna. Husband still missing, I see.
I should be saying the same of your darling Rochelle, Lee. The doctors again?
She told me she'll just be in the gardens. Bet she's lying and that she's somewhere around mingling, gossiping with the other ladies. It's no offense, but that seems to be all you ladies do at these parties.
And aren't you gossiping right now?
Yes, well, what about Luke? Should we file a missing persons report now, or She wants to wait 24 hours.
He's around.
I really feel for her.
You know, I can tell if someone's bluffing. Don't tell me, let me guess. He's finally drunken himself to death and not wanting a scandal. You've hidden his body. I was
If
wanting to
only.
give this housewarming gift to him personally, too. It's a plate that holds a wine glass so he can stop killing himself with liquid lunches. Looks like it's too late for that.
Nothing like that. Besides, this is a hardly polite conversation.
Oh, relax. I'm just trying to be cheeky to lighten the mood. It's not like I want Luke dead. The man doesn't serve dodgy plonk like the others when I visit, and he pays his respects well enough. I
Okay.
could use a glass of wine or 3, actually. Michelle's been in a horrid mood. Threw her stilettos at me the other day and almost took an eye out. Not sure if this is how it usually goes, but I blame the pregnancy.
I wouldn't know, would I?
Still no plans for a baby? Well, I guess that's for the best. If it's this bad now, I can't even imagine how bad it'll be when that little baby bump becomes huge.
Oi! Have I mentioned how I don't trust him? No matter how hard I try to do so? At least he brought a gift, I suppose.
Why don't you just go inside and have some wine, Lee?
Think I will, thanks.
Greetings such as these carry on as the guests continue to tickle in. Whether we have short conversations or merely shake hands and nod heads, I make sure to attend and welcome each of them. As the first hour passes by, the rest of the stragglers and I adjourn to the ballroom. Any latecomers will have the attention of the porter instead. I have other duties to attend to now. Hosting parties is always the same old song and dance, no matter how big or small it is. You make sure your guests are well fed, have good company, and have them generally enjoy themselves. So when my opening remarks are done, when the band has started to play and the guests have started eating, I find myself wandering around aimlessly unless I am pulled aside. For a while, I stay with a small group and entertain them before excusing myself. And when they're not anymore watching me, I end up watching them. When they don't listen, I do. A local bank is having trouble with his daughter. He wishes to marry her off, but she wants nothing more but to make music. Follow your dream, girlie. One of our hotel managers worry about the stolen belongings of one of his patrons, a failing in security which should be brought up to the higher authority soon. Our mayor, well, his cat died. Aww. Then there's that rose-haired woman once again. It is hard not to notice her with her distinctive locks. She also lacks the grace that the other ladies have, though that does not make her any less beautiful. Her stance, the air she exudes, instead are strong, and they make her stand out despite her casual attire. Many men have already given her their attention, though each invitation to dance has been turned down. I approach, intrigued, although it is no great mystery what occupies her own attention, with a glance she keeps sending towards the boy with the oriental hair. She remains unaware at all, even as I stand beside her, pretending that I am there for a drink.
You would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this fancy. I would have gone with a nice dress if I knew.
Aw.
Oh, you're fine, dearie. It's only really the parvenus, those who climb, that come to these parties all dolled up. Quite the black-haired beauty, isn't he?
Well, I can't disagree. The boy comes over, but I do nothing to speak any softer. He merely passes by, and it's a wonder he doesn't hear what I say.
Ew, Ash?
You know, you really shouldn't have turned down those offers. If I wasn't married, I'd happily go dancing with those young men. But you said a name. Ash. That's the exquisite lad you've been looking at all this time. I don't know him, and I'm the one hosting this party. That must mean you know each other. Is he your boyfriend then? Because that would explain those rejections.
In all my life, I have never seen a face grow red so fast. The shade of her hair did not help as well. This is the most pink I've seen a person, really.
What? No, that's ridiculous. He isn't my boyfriend.
Such a violent reaction. A simple no would have sufficed. Many here would be happy to hear it.
And I haven't been looking at him.
That's right. You've been staring. Quite heatedly, in fact. Although I'm not sure if you look like you want to kiss him or kill him.
It's more the latter currently.
Just
Kill
don't
him,
go
okay.
murdering him on my property. I don't want to walk into a room and suddenly find a body there.
I wave as I feel the burning of someone's stairs. It is chilling and though I'm used to enduring the gaze of others, this one makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. It is chilling. Oh my, she's so creepy. It is chilling and though I am used to enduring the gaze of the others, this one makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. My attention is pulled from the girl and I see a woman staring. Dark-haired and dirty, she looks more like a beggar than a guest, and I have half the mind to call the security at her when her mouth breaks into a grin. All I hear is her laughing. Daunting. Her stares make my blood run cold. She looks at me like I am nothing but a pig to slaughter for her amusement. It makes my hand shake and I nearly drop my drink. But then in a blink she's gone, and the bustle party returns.
I'll keep that in mind, but are you all right?
Yes, sorry. I just thought I saw something strange. It must be the trick of the light. Anyway, on a right, as you must already know.
Rebecca Gales.
Gales.
The name is familiar, like a fond memory. Oh, I recall a kind lady, a private tutor who treated me like her own daughter when I was young. She'd even bring me food, when there was no need to do so. Usually stovies, which I honestly hadn't been too keen about, though I ate them nonetheless because she brought them for me.
Oh, the professor! And your little Becky!
My parents couldn't make it since they're in Scotland right now. And Mom says hi, by the way. But yeah, that's me. Little Becky. We met once before.
Yes, oh, I remember you! You were the cutest little thing with glasses! And when we met, you were having boy troubles with this lad called something with an A. What was it again? Aaron, Alan, Adele, Albert, Alexander, Andrew?
The more I list off names, the more red and the more quiet Becky gets. She starts to look a bit miserable as her body language shows discomfort and stiffness. Perhaps I've tricked her horrid childhood memory. Surely I hadn't been mean when she visited with her mother. I don't quite remember all of it.
Ashton! Ash! That man is that boy! The same one. Oh, goodness me, after all these years! I can see why, though. He's quite dashing.
You don't really need to announce it to everyone with an earshot, you know? Keep it down.
I'm so sorry, but it really is cute.
And a tad bit sad.
This is a nice party, Miss Wright.
Please, Anna's fine. We're friends of a sort, aren't we? We must be friends, seeing as I know about your little infatuation, Becky. Don't you worry, dearie. You'll have your happy ending yet.
I'm not too concerned about that, am I? That's not what I'm looking for.
Oh? And what makes you think that? Doesn't everybody want their happy ending?
The idea of happy endings sounds like they're just for fairy tales. And they are, sorta. I don't think you can just sit around, trapped in some tower and hope for the best. If you love them, you have to fight for it, right? You're not just going to sit there and hope that everything will just fix itself on its own. Like everything, you have to work at it. But what do I know?
She's right. Love is actually like a verb, isn't it? It needs constant work. But it doesn't count for every relationship though. If there's like physical abuse, mental abuse, just get away. All the red flags, get away. But if there's still love in the marriage and trust in the marriage, it needs constant working. Every match has ups and downs. Me and my husband always have the same thing, but communication is key, really. There is a grimace. I thought she started to relax around my presence. How long has it been since we met as children? Certainly a long time. She was tiny back then, if I recall correctly.
I'm sure the daughter of the two greatest professors I've ever known is smart enough to know what she's talking about. But have you told him how you feel? And it's been what? 20 years?
17, actually. But no, not yet. He can be a bit dense.
That's not surprising.
I was hoping that maybe he'd notice on his own and...
Well, that won't do. What if you two become husband and wife? He's not to be dense when he's sworn himself to another person. Why, you might just as well consider leaving before the day's even begun.
If that happens, I'll have to give him a good ear bashing, won't I? Whoever anyone ends up with, it's not going to be a perfect relationship anyway. There's going to be things you'll love and things you'll hate about the other person. We're just humans. It's funny. Here I am, trying to give you advice when you did the very same thing back then. I remember you giving me a makeover when we were still kids. And you were the first I told anyone about my... crush.
I do remember now that she mentions it. Did I give her that yellow summer dress? Or the pink blouse and petticoat? She must have kept some of what I said in mind. It feels ridiculous remembering all of that years later. Talking about boys and how they go crazy for pretty girls. As if it's some gospel every woman should adhere to. It was so easy to say such things then, with me not knowing any better. But looking at her now, she must have kept some of what I said in mind. Perhaps I did say something good at the time, enough for her to take it to heart. But all of it didn't matter in the moment, as I mull over what she's just said in my head. What Becky told me is very different from what Marianne told me. There is no time to ponder over that, however, as a hush descends upon the once lively crowd. The music of strings and the cello slows to a grinding halt as the doors from the foyer opens. The last latecomer should have arrived moments ago. And anyone else this late would simply be too embarrassed to show their face. So this can only be one person, or rather, one man. There's only one man who is audacious enough to arrive at his own party so late.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Enjoying the party? I hope I'm not too late in welcoming you all to the right mansion.
Unlike I, who was raised in the spotlight and simply grew used to its presence, he sought out every chance he could, even when there was no spotlight that shone. And I'll never put it against him, when he smiles like that. He did so quite brilliantly and undiscouragedly when he channels his showmanship. You can tell by the way people's eyes light up as he speaks, how they listen, enraptured, even if all he's doing is a simple greeting. A little wave of his hand here, a little smile there, and a bit of swagger. I always tell him that if he's not to be a businessman, he'll do well as an entertainer. I love this style of him, especially when he looks at me and he beckons me over to humbly share his place. Not a single second is wasted as I excuse myself from Becky's side and I make my way to Luke's.
Welcome one and all to our humble abode. Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your roles, you are our ladies and lords of the court of your king and queen, if you would excuse my presumptuousness. So, enjoy the feast that has been laid out for your senses as we only allowed the best to be served. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone!
There's a round of applause and cheers and even some boos. Guests approach us left and right to shake Luke's hand and greet him personally, faces on their lips. It is because of this that I do not see her. I do not see her until she's dangerously close, with fury in her eyes, and she's already spitting venom. Johannes restrains her, taking care not to unnecessarily harm the pregnant woman. Exactly, but that does little to deaden her rage, and the man has no choice but to let her go. lest an unborn child is hurt. Although it might be too late for that, as I see an empty glass of wine in her hand. That's not good. How much has she imbibed?
Are you feeling ill, Rochelle? Perhaps you need to sit down and...
No! Shut it, you munter! I ain't talking to you! I'm talking to this scumbag over here! You bloody bastard standing there with your smarmy smile!
She interrupts me, tripping her finger in my direction before she rounds on Luke. Even as whispers and murmurs break out among the guests, all I can focus on is the heat of the moment. Obviously intoxicated, judging by the smell of the alcohol in her breath. I'm not ticked off about this little display of hers, at least not yet. But I am absolutely pissed by the fact that she'd endanger her own baby by drinking. There's a considerable amount of restraint and grace I must exercise while I wait for her tantrum to subside. I keep a patient, if tight, smile on my face. Luke's expression on her hand is indecipherable.
Watch your tongue! You're on thin ice, Rochelle. Where's your husband? Who even invited you?
I did.
And I told you with great emphasis not to. Now we have a drunk, hormonal, pregnant woman causing a stir.
She won't.
What is even going on?
I am just about to ask the exact same thing.
I don't know. But Rochelle, do calm down before you hurt yourself. I can't understand a word you're saying.
Where is that husband of yours? Lee, collect your wife right now.
Don't you fucking talk like I'm not here and you're not responsible, you ass! You told me that I should wait for you in the gardens!
Excuse me, what is this nonsense you're going on about?
Crazy talk, that's all it is. Just completely and utterly mad. Has anyone seen the Chief Inspector?
I am pregnant with your little bastard. You promised me you'll take responsibility. God damn it, Luke. I finally got you to talk to me after months of silence, and you do this to me.
Did you have a fling? What?
What do you mean you're pregnant with? Luke, is this true?
Lies and slander, woman! Security! Johans, take her out of here before she makes an even bigger fool of herself!
No, you do not do this to me. I was so ready to leave my stupid oaf of a husband. I told you to leave that damn wife of yours. Look at her. Does she look like she wants a baby? Does she look like she could take care of a baby?
It is now Johan's returns to security along with a concerned-looking Officer Lee. They surround her and move to escort the hysterical woman. Judging by his pale face, he has heard the whole thing, and I feel nothing but pity for the man.
I'm so sorry for her behavior. She's been under a lot of stress. And the alcohol. Talking nonsense, that's all it is. You're not allowed to drink because of the baby, Shelley. What are you thinking?
Nothing to see here, people. Move along.
Is there really nothing here but the ramblings of a drunk? Yes, that's right. No, Lee's words are keeping going on in my mind. How he still acts like he's a bachelor. There's no way that what Rochelle says is the truth. What she says doesn't match up. I know Luke. If such a scandalous meeting are to be arranged, he won't do it in such an exposed place. Especially not near his precious flowers. And he definitely won't promise responsibility for a child unless it can be helped. Besides, Luke will never... He will never go so far as to sleep with another woman, right? Okay, fine. Who am I kidding? If I am to be completely honest with myself, he might cheat. With a bit of temptation, a bit of alcohol, he just might. And doesn't that just make blood boil? To even think of the slightest possibility of infidelity. He isn't too far off when he told me how Luke still acted like some young hotshot bachelor. I started to make me think. Perhaps a break is needed. I need to work for my happy ending. Or if my husband will be cheating on me. We talked about this before. We both think the same way. Cheating is not okay because he can ruin a relationship just like that by doing so, even if it meant nothing. Because the trust will be gone, won't it? I did talk about it that if it ever happened, that I prefer to hear it from him and not from somebody else. Because if I did hear from somebody else, I would end it there and there, even if I have children. And if he did tell to me that I might give him a chance, now I'm thinking about her. What to do with her? I really believe that her husband still loves her. Because of the sweet little moments they shared. And I do believe that she has put herself aside for way too long, and she has to make effort as well. So they both are going to work for it, and she has to work for her own happy ending. So I'm going to choose that. I need to work for my happy ending. So what would he get now? Right. Becky's words are still fresh in my mind. And I can't help but think that the girl, plucky woman that she is, has a point. If I love Luke, I have to fight for him, don't I? So far, I've been doing nothing and sitting on my behind, hoping it'll fix itself. This whole mess definitely is going to fix itself. How dare that woman try to drag our name and our relationship through the mud with her lies? And at my own party! Determination fires me up as I take a step forward into the middle of the fray. All the while she has been screaming. A signal for security to stop, and I can already feel the glow on my face as I stare into hers. She wilts as soon as she sees me. She starts to grow anxious and her protests die down. I can see her haughty, angry expressions turn to a horrified realization. Rightfully so, she should be scared. What is that thing she say again? Never wake a sleeping dragon? They often think that Luke is the one in charge, that he's the one to be feared and appeased. They think me as only the pretty wife. They forget that I am just as capable, just as worthy of respect.
I invite you, my friend, into my house on a day of merriment. And you insult my name and accuse my husband of infidelity. What have I ever done to make you treat us with such disrespect? You are no longer welcome in any of our estates, our properties, and our businesses. And we will no longer patronize yours. Now, escort the girl and make sure she isn't standing even an inch within our grounds.
She looks devastated. Reasonable. This does make her into a pariah, doesn't it? I should feel concerned, but I can't find even an inkling of mercy within me. I don't know what her plan was. I don't know what she wanted to make out of this. The money? Luke? It doesn't matter what she wanted.
You won't show your face to me ever again if you know what is good for you, Rochelle. Take her away.
The tension is thick in the air, and the silence that embraces the room is so sad that one can practically hear a pin drop. There are worried and almost fearful glances from some of the guests, but they all know this is well within my right. She is the one who started this whole dilemma. It just so happens that I'm the one ending it. As long as everyone holds their tongue and don't interfere, none of the consequences matter to me. Especially when my darling looks at me with a different shine in his eyes. It almost seems as if he is proud of what I've done, and it spurs me on more than anything. Nonetheless, I still act upset because this does not change what just happened. He still has a lot to answer to, because even if the woman is lying, there's always an inkling in truth in every lie. So when I turn on him, to say that the shock he displays brings me gratification is an understatement. Of course, there's no reason to make a husband and wife spell into public spectacle. Some privacy will generate the least number of headaches and complications. Everyone is still far too busy in the ballroom, and most of the staff are still in the kitchen. A sharp glance at anyone who'll go through to the doors is all it takes to make them retreat. And the most private we can get without me tracking Luke all the way to our bedroom is the foyer.
And you?
You're in trouble, matey.
We are going to talk about this, Lucille Mitchell-Wright. Not now, but we will talk about this.
Right! I swear that is not my child, no matter what that woman says.
That I believe.
Hannah, darling, you believe me, don't you?
I believe that it isn't your child. But you never said that you did not cheat on me with her. We'll have a talk about that tomorrow, among other things.
What for?
You're in trouble, dude.
What other things?
About us, Luke. This isn't right, this doubting each other and not talking. That's why we'll talk. If anyone needs me, I'll be in our room. I'm in no mood to be talking with anyone about anything, especially nosy baggers who have no business with any of it.
Should I be worried? Scared? Because you know threats do not work with me, Hannah.
She's not threatening, dude.
None of those. You should know I'm not your enemy, Luke. I need rest. That's all.
Of course, you must be so tired. You've earned some peace. I'll take over the party from here.
Good night, love.
Good night, Buttercup.
Sometimes I forget that leaving Luke to handle the party is a horrible idea.